is figure out a way to isolate some of these veins and things like that here in these areas. And to do so, I'm going to use a method. I'm going to isolate basically a color range and then change that a little bit. So you can do that with, like, if you went up to select here, you could go down to color range, or you can do that with some other tools. I'm going to show you how to do it with the hue saturation. So I'm going to grab an adjustment layer and go down to hue saturation. And now what I want to do is I actually want to choose the reds that I want to target. I want to choose the reds that I don't really like. So I'm going to go from master down here to reds. And then I'm going to use this eyedropper, and that's just going to allow me to actually like pick the reds here that I actually want to edit. Like if I'm, editing, if I switch to blues, you're going to see it's going to change over to my blue area. If I click on reds, it's going to change the red area. Okay, now basically what I want to do is just lighten these up a little bit. They're a little bit too dark, a little bit too red. So we're just going to take our lightness and just drag that up just a bit. Something like right about there. All right, perfect. There we go. And if you want to add to your selection, just use this plus eyedropper and you can then add to those selections. So this is just making those red areas just a little bit brighter. Now this is not going to work everywhere, but it is going to work. It is going to look good in a lot of places. So I'm going to put a layer mask on that. Comes with the layer mask. I'm going to hit Command I to invert that layer mask. Just make it black. And then I'm going to paint white here on my layer mask just and then down to color range. And I can click right over here. We'll just have the selection preview be grayscale. I can click right over there, and so now it's going to really target those reds that were over there. You can see it's a different color than was in the eye. Like if I clicked on the blue of the eye, it would target these colors. Kind of a cool way to see images, huh? I like it. I think it's nice. So let's target those reds there. There we go, and hit OK. And now what we can do is, well, if you want more selected, like I would maybe like a little bit more selected, you can go to select color range, you can click on your reds, and then you can turn your fuzziness up, which is going to just select a little bit more. Okay, now what I can do is I can use that selection in like a curves adjustment layer. So I'm going to grab my adjustment layer, go up to curves. It's going to automatically load that selection into the curve, and I can just choose to like bring up my brightness a little bit. All right, now if it's a little bit too much, like the wrong color, it looks like there's a little magenta there. So I'm going to pull my green channel, and I'm going to pull that up just a tiny bit. And our red channel we're going to pull down just a little bit as well. Okay, cool. So basically that's just going to help to lighten that area up as well. And if you want to just, I'm going to soften my layer mask a little bit. There we go. I'm going to lower the opacity. Make sure you're sampled here, all layers or current and below. And we're just going to zoom in. I'm going to get rid of this little thing here. I'm going to keep that reflection. Reflections in eyes are really important because they help you see that like it's a shiny surface. However, sometimes it can be distracting. So we are going to take care of this area. J and for the healing brush tool, and then I'm going to hold Alt or Option, sample here, and then paint right over there. There we go. And we're going to use the same tool basically to paint away some of these larger veins, things like that. Just like that. Now you can even use this for blending. You can see like that area doesn't look very blended. If I just kind of paint in there, it's going to help to like blend that line. So you can see it's just going to help blend the line and make it a little bit more, just a little bit more natural looking. There we go. So grabbing a curves adjustment layer, what I want to do is just brighten everything up just a little bit, and you can use your little hand tool here. So I can click on my hand tool. I'm in my RGB settings, so this is going to use just our lights and our darks. It's going to brighten or darken things. And I'm going to choose to click right over here, which is the light area, and I'm going to click and drag down. I've got my hand tool selected, and it's going to drag that down. Now I can drag this area up, and there we go. So what we've got is basically like it's making our brights a little bit darker, but making our darks a little bit brighter. So we're going to get just like a little bit more of an even exposure here, and this area should kind of brighten up a little bit as well. And then what I'm going to do is, I think we're going to go into our red channel and just like pull that down just a little bit. There we go. Adjustment again, and we're going to bring that up just a little bit. And this time what I'm going to use is here on my layer mask, I'm going to use an elliptical marquee. There we go. Select where the eye is, and then invert the selection on the layer mask. So we have a selection just there, and then we're going to go to Filter, Blur, and over here to Gaussian Blur. All right. And you'll be able to choose your blur. You just want to choose a blur that's, doesn't look like you did it in Photoshop, basically. So something like that looks pretty good. All right, definitely getting there. So the next thing I want to do, let's just go ahead and shift click all those and hit Command G to group them together so we can see, just be a little bit more organized here. So there's our before and after. We can see we're already looking quite a bit better. We did lose a little bit of reds with this guy. I think what I want to do, this curve adjustment layer, I think I'm going to go back to my reds and reset this. To reset a curve, just click on your little node here and just drag all the way down until it's gone. I think we lost a little bit too much of our reds when I was changing that over. Okay, now I want to take care of this reflection here in the eye. So we're going to make a new layer. I'm going to use my clone stamp tool, sampling here on all layers, and I'm going to sample right over here. So S for the clone stamp, and then hold Alt or Option to sample a point, and then I'm just going to start painting that point right over to the side. There we go, and that's really all I need. So I'm just grabbing the left side. Now I'm going to hit Command T, right click, and go to Flip Horizontal, which is just going to flip it right over, and I'm going to put that in place. Opacity here, change it about 50% opacity just to make sure it's okay. You can hit V and the keyboards on, or the numbers on the top of your keyboard. So 5 would be the 50%, 0 would be 100%. All right, looking good. Now let's go ahead and put a layer mask on that. I'm going to paint black right here on my layer mask. There we go. And basically what we're doing is replacing this, the right side of the eye here with the left side of the eye. There we go. Now we're getting a little bit different saturation here. It should be a little bit more saturated. So I'm going to go to Hue Saturation. There we go. And I'm going to clip this to our other layer. So this Hue Saturation I want to only be visible where this clone stamp layer is. So I'm going to right click on here and go to Create Clipping Mask. If you guys have any questions about clipping masks, just click on the tags above this episode on phlearn.com. If you guys are watching this on YouTube, make sure to go to phlearn.com. And you can see above this episode, there's going to be a tags button, and you can go down and you can click up clipping masks. There's going to be a whole lot of episodes on clipping masks. So we're going to go to Hue Saturation, and I'm just going to grab my saturation. We're going to pull that up, and you can see how that does a much better job matching there instead of what was going on here on the left. It's just a little bit more saturated there on the right side. So it's totally up to you if you want to do something like